Alright, it's that time of year to be doing canning, and we kind of ran out of room. So, here's something you can do. This is a shelf that I built into this wall for some pickles, and if you look, it's recessed into the wall. It only sticks out from the wall maybe about a half an inch right here. Otherwise it's recessed in, and I'll tell you how I did that. Okay, so the first thing that I noticed when I was going to put in these shelves is this light switch here. And obviously that could be a complication with wires running through there. So here's how I approached this. I used the drill bit that is used to drill doorknob holes because I could cut through the sheetrock and cut a hole in the sheetrock without penetrating into the wall. So cut a couple holes and kind of feel around for where these cords might be, the wiring. And so I cut a few holes, and yes, I found the wires. They were conveniently like straight across this hole I was going to make. So find out where the wires are and where the wires aren't. Then use a jigsaw and draw your hole and follow along with your jigsaw wherever you know the wires aren't until you can make a big enough hole so you can reach in there. And I took these light switches out just so there'd be some play, just disconnect them from the wall so that I could jiggle the wires around, and had to undo a couple staples where the wires were stapled to the wall, but then I was able to get enough play in the wires so that I could get the wires up along the side and then going over. So you got to get your wires out of the way if you have wires in your wall. Then I was able to make the hole exactly the size that I wanted it to be. And the next thing I did was cover the surface of this wall with some of the cedar tongue and groove. And this cedar tongue and groove is only about 1/8 of an inch thick. So it's very, very thin. And the finishing nails, you drive them in at kind of an angle so they won't poke out on the back side of your wall. In this case, this wall is sort of a free-floating wall here. And if I just ran my finishing nails through the cedar, I'd have the tips of the nails would be sticking out on this other side. So put them in, and I actually put the nails behind this shelf, so you don't even see any nails. And I really only had to run one row of nails across because these boards on the back are held in by the shelves, the tops, the sides, and the bottoms. So the first step, make your hole, find your wires, move them to the side, put the cedar on the back. Then I put this shelf in. It's just a 2x4, kind of goes with the rustic look of the house. And if you have L brackets for it to sit on, that would make it real nice and strong. Once I put this in, I used some finishing nails to pin the wiring, the Romex inside the wall to the side. And then if you look in here, I then took pieces of this cedar and put it on the side. The wires, you can't even tell, the wires are actually behind this board right here. So you don't see any of the wires. And then I put a board on this side of the cedar so you don't see the inside of the wall. And once I did those two, I left a little gap on the top so that my top board could just slide over top of them. So it's sitting on the two side ones. And after that, when I put in this shelf, that sort of held everything together. It held these to the side, and it held all these boards in, and this shelf sort of held everything together. And the last thing was I used some of my leftovers just to make these trim boards, so you didn't see any of my imperfections in my finishing work. But I wanted to show this for people who are running out of space canning their food. This is a nice way to just take a wall. It doesn't stick out at all, like a half an inch. And if I was to add to this, I would add a small little railing right here. You know, that's one thing you got to think of when you're storing food. is what if there was an earthquake and you wouldn't want these to rattle off? So having a little strip of wood here would be a good idea. And I could pretty this up a little more if I took a belt sander and sanded some of these edges. But like I said, I don't really like finishing work much. I like the rugged look. So I'm going to leave it like this. But I wanted to share that idea to create space and keep canning your food. Have fun.